Welcome and Merry Christmas to everyone listening in today. Well, it is wonderful to have your company on this Christmas day of 2021. And what a year this has been. And I hope that you all are having a good time. Well, right now here in Brisbane, it's a little bit cloudy. It's though the forecast is for sunny weather and the temperature is 27 degrees. Well, right now, what's happening, because, there's so many flights that have been cancelled and there's so many things that are happening in and around the nation that is causing a lot of havoc. With that, we will take a look at this very quick report and see where we are up with this. Well, apologize for that sound problem that we had from there. But as they reckon, sometimes you have these little technical difficulties. But as we heard from that news that, right across the nation, there have been lots of flights that have been cancelled, and that is causing a lot of havoc. And we will also look at what's going to be happening with the shopping that's been predicted that, there will be such a lot of. But right now, it's time to get a message from our Prime Minister and Leader of Opposition.
Merry Christmas, Australia. This year, more than most, we are reminded of what we are truly thankful for, each other. There are 6 families in Devonport, in northern Tasmania, from the Hillcrest Primary School this Christmas, who are completely devastated, and our thoughts are with them. Everything they cherished in life was taken from them in a terrible instant. It's unimaginable. And so our hearts break for them. And this Christmas, we'll shed a tear and raise up prayers for them, I believe, right across the country for them, that they might find some measure of comfort in this hour of their terrible grief. As they grieve, many Australians will be gathering together for the first time this Christmas in a long time, but sadly not all. Others will be on their own still. Others are always on their own at this time of year, and it's a very lonely time. Others will be missing a loved one for the first time, who is no longer around the Christmas table. And we're thinking of you also. This pandemic, it continues to buffet us. The Omicron variant is just the latest challenge that we have faced. But together, always together, and only together, do we keep pushing through. At the end of this year, Of course, we can think of the many difficult times we've had and the losses that people have incurred. But Christmas, you know, is a time of hope. And we are an optimistic people. And whatever comes our way, we back ourselves to overcome and to push through, as we have during the course of this pandemic, saving lives and livelihoods like few other countries in the world. That is our quiet confidence as Australians, driven by the love we have for those around us and the way of life that we value so much and enjoy here in Australia, that we're able to lead and aspire to in our wonderful country. I'm so grateful for Australia, to be an Australian, and for my fellow Australians. I could want for no greater gift than the spirit of the Australian people that's been on display, that have inspired and endured and cared and shown great courage. Even now, so many selfless Australians are out there caring for others this Christmas, working and volunteering to keep Australians safe and showing their fellow Australians that they matter, that they are valued and that they are cared for. They're driving trucks, delivering critical supplies. They're giving us our booster shots and doing our COVID tests. They're working in emergency departments. They're volunteering in homeless shelters. They're standing ready to respond to the many natural disasters that sadly we so often face this time of year, and fires and floods and terrible storms that we've only recently just experienced. They're patrolling our beaches. They're serving overseas in our national interests. And I particularly want to acknowledge our Australian Federal Police and the Australian Defence Forces, who are on deployment in the Solomon Islands right now, and the many others serving in so many other parts of the world. I want to say thank you to all of those selfless Australians. May God especially bless you and your families this Christmas, especially if you're apart. May all those who need a refreshing after what has been a difficult year by just having a good long laugh out loud round that Christmas table with friends and family, may you find it. May those who have been alone this year experience the warmth of companionship this Christmas. May those of us who have faith find great encouragement as we reflect on God's great gift to us in His Son, Jesus Christ. And may all of us experience something of the joy and the wonder of Christmas, especially our children. Jan and I wish you, from our family to yours, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in 2022. Merry Christmas, Australia, and God bless.
After such a tough couple of years, we all deserve a happy Christmas. Thanks to everyone for taking care of each other. Australians have stood together, and now with our borders opening up again, we're getting back together, off the Zoom and actually back in the room with family, friends and loved ones. May the festive season bring you joy, and may it be a sign of better times to come.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the messages from our leader of opposition and the Prime Minister. Well, right now, are you spending this Christmas alone? And if you are, there are ways and means of overcoming that, because it does play out mentally on your mind. I've been running through three things with my clients, and I think the first one is that we feel this pressure that we should be happy at Christmas as this expectation. But most of us are actually feeling exhausted and disappointed. So many gatherings have been cancelled and, so many people in isolation. So I think that there's three things I want to say. The first thing is acknowledge that it's okay to be feeling sad and disappointed, and putting that into words, telling people, writing it down, making room for those negative feelings, even though it's Christmas, is actually really important, because it will help you tomorrow. Like so many people that we're seeing extended family over Christmas, even with lockdowns, and often that can be triggers for us to get even more anxious in a normal Christmas. So the more that we're observing what's going on for me, am I really disappointed? Am I exhausted? Am I sad? Put it into words, talk about it. If you have young people at home, ask them how they're feeling about, grandma hasn't come from Queensland or whatever's gone on. Putting it into words means it goes to a different part of the brain and we process the emotions. The second thing, though, is gratitude, because we don't want to wallow just in the negative emotions. We also, alongside them, it's a good thing to think about what
What can we be grateful for? Do we have a roof over our head, food, people? That helps us think big picture. And we have to work at that, because when we're anxious, and the last week especially, I think our anxiety levels as a country have really gone up. When we're anxious, our thinking goes to worst case scenarios, not to the positive and what to be grateful for. So we have to be really intentional, and being grateful doesn't cancel out the sadness and the disappointment. They sit side by side. And the third thing I'd say is one day at a time. We're not sure what's going to happen next week, next month. And as a wise man whose birth we celebrate tomorrow said, don't worry about tomorrow. Each day's got enough trouble of its own. Manage yourself today. What self-care do you need to do today? So those three: acknowledging difficult emotions, putting it into words, gratitude, and one day at a time.
Okay, so there's some great tips there on dealing with anxiety. I think some of the other emotions we may be experiencing this year is maybe some loneliness. There may be some grandparents that may not get visited this year. There may be even the people themselves who have the virus that are isolating. What are some tips for them, or even some tips to maybe make it more of a social event? Should we be jumping on Zoom and chatting, playing some trivia amongst family members on Christmas Day?
It's a great idea. It's all we've got. Especially if you're in isolation, so many people are. Christmas is a special day in our society, isn't it? So trying to make it a different day, even if you're in isolation or even if you can't see family. So you might set a rhythm, like plan it. What are you going to do for breakfast? In the morning, you might want to do a Christmas movie or an uplifting podcast, and absolutely join the family on Zoom for lunch. Or you might do that at several times during the day to feel part of it. The other thing which I often recommend to people, because for some people Christmas is a lonely time anyway, without COVID or isolation, have a think about the historical meaning of Christmas is in the Christian faith is as a time of, it's a remembrance of something spiritual that's happened. And even if you're not religious or have a different religion, it's still an historically authentic Christmassy thing to do on Christmas Day, if you're by yourself, to reflect on meaningful things, to have a time of spiritual reflection or that time of gratitude.
Spiritual reflection indeed it is Christmas, and no need to be all negative, but yes, as he mentioned, even if you are alone, you can make the best of it. There's so many other things. You can join some podcast, and as today we have this 9 o'clock news, then 10 o'clock special presentation with Savita Singhi, and then at 11 we have Pastor Joseph Das joining in with his live show, and then at 12 we'll have the talk back, where by that time you would have got most of your things over with. Talk to us or get your message out to everyone. That you can do by just calling our studio on 0484 279 150. Well, of course, Christmas follows Boxing Day, which is leading into shopping. So what's this shopping going to be like this year?
People are out and about doing last-minute Christmas shopping, but more nervous about the latest COVID outbreak.
I actually had my COVID shot, my third COVID vaccination today. I try to avoid the crowd if it's possible.
But with double vax.
And we think if everyone wears masks, we're pretty okay.
I'm just being cautious, mask wearing, social distancing, so I'm not too concerned.
The Australian Retailers Association estimates a $21 billion spend between Boxing Day and January 15.
There will be some anxiety and shoppers will be cautious around being in crowds. We expect that to be the case.
For department stores like David Jones, Boxing Day remains one of the biggest in-store trading days of the year, but no one will be able to race in when doors open. Customers will need to line up and check in.
We are very used to now managing crowds at our front doors. We've travelled through and navigated through this pandemic for quite some time now.
Those worried about going in-store will still be able to shop online. November was the biggest month in Australian online shopping history. Retailers say it will be hard to beat that record, and consumers will still face frustration in getting their product delivered on time.
We've also seen significant supply chain issues with the global pandemic interrupting supply chains around the world. So expect to see out of stocks, and do expect to see some waiting times.
With all the anxiety that shoppers feel, Aussie entertainers have stepped in to lighten the mood. Nassim Kadem, ABC News.
Of course, with that New Year's and Boxing Day celebrations, and of course the Boxing Day shopping, please be careful, as we know that these days front-end staff will ask for your vaccination certificate.
Under our Safe Transition Plan, from February 5, everyone who is eligible, aged 12 and over, is required to be double dose vaccinated to enter Western Australia. Obviously, Western Australians are preparing for Christmas celebrations, and we want to be able to bring you as much information as we can. Since I've been finished speaking and come back to the microphone, there's been another case identified, so it's now 5 cases. This is another person from the Perth Mess Hall event on the 19th of December. I don't have any further details than that, but there has been another person identified. Yesterday, 10,267 tests were taken through public and private clinics across Perth. This is an incredible number, especially given testing didn't ramp up until the afternoon, and especially given the extreme summer weather conditions. It's important people who are lining up are prepared to wait and prepared for very hot conditions. So please bring water and sun protection. Clinics were scaled up yesterday and stayed open until 10 p.m. last night. They will keep operating throughout Christmas and Boxing Day. I will outline what we know about these cases. The 4 cases. One is a close contact of case 1133, who also attended the Mess Hall event on Sunday, December 19. The other 3 are casual contacts of case 1133, who also attended the Mess Hall event but were not known to case 1133. As a result of the high-risk nature of the Mess Hall event in Northbridge, our health authorities will now upgrade the contact status for the Mess Hall event. This means that anyone who attended the event must get tested and now self-quarantine for 14 days from the date of exposure. As the date of exposure is the 19th of December, this means they will be in quarantine until January the 3rd. We are making urgent arrangements to ensure everyone who was at the Mess Hall event, around 400 people, are tested and quarantined appropriately.
So the French backpacker is linked to that outbreak, and of course all the safety precautions are being taken. And with the extreme weather and the heat, here's Harish from the Bureau of Meteorology.
We have issued a cyclone watch for communities from Point Stewart in the NT, right through Darwin, the Tiwi Islands, and through to Columbaroo in the northern Kimberley in Western Australia. As you mentioned, it is a tropical low. Sitting in the Timor Sea, the waters here are very warm, more than 30 degrees, and that's really providing the fuel to see this system develop. We are expecting it to reach tropical cyclone strength either late on Christmas night or early Boxing Day morning, and then as a Category 1 system, continue to move down, mostly to the west of Darwin, and make landfall either Sunday night or into Monday morning as well. And if it does have a name, then the next name on the list will be Tropical Cyclone Seth. And so for those communities in the watch area, they can expect very strong winds to start to develop from late tomorrow in excess of 100 kilometres an hour, heavy rainfall up to 200 millimetres a day, as well as very dangerous conditions out in the water as well. And so for communities right across that kind of area, definitely pay attention to all the watches and possibly warnings over the next 2 or 3 days or so. But of course, residents across the top end do know that once the cyclone does start to move towards the land, it can become quite erratic as it interacts with the land. And so within the realm of possibilities, we could see it spend a little bit more time over water, in which case it would strengthen into a Category 2 system and then start to impact communities across WA. Or it could actually cross the coast a little bit earlier, which would have some more significant impacts for the Darwin area. And for those in Darwin, the last time we have seen the city in a cyclone watch on Christmas Day was back in 2011, Tropical Cyclone Grant. So they don't come around too often, but we are expecting quite significant impacts in terms of heavy rainfall, localised flooding and riverine flooding as well. So really to pay attention to the warnings over the next couple of days, particularly over the Christmas break.
Jonathan, we're seeing some very, very hot weather in parts of Western Australia.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a severe to extreme heatwave conditions right along the Western Australian coast, and Perth is really going to be the epicentre of that heat over the next few days. We have just upped our forecast for Perth, so now going for 43 degrees tomorrow for Christmas Day and a scorching 44 degrees on Boxing Day. Both of these could be potential records for Perth for the hottest Christmas Day on record and then potentially the hottest December Day on record on Boxing Day. And with these temperatures and the overnight minimums really not dipping below 27 to 28 degrees, it's really going to pose a huge health risk for the community, even healthy people who will need to take the precautions because the body just isn't able to recover overnight. And even onto Monday, we'll see temperatures remaining in the low 40s right across southwest WA. And with very strong gusty winds, we will see the fire danger push up to severe to potentially catastrophic levels, particularly through inland parts. And of course, we did see quite a lot of bushfire activity over the past few weeks across the southwest corner. So any kind of smouldering fire which is going could potentially flare up again with temperatures climbing well into the 30s and 40s. So for those across southwest WA, particularly Perth, definitely do try to stay cool and try to time your outdoor activities and outings away from the peak heat of the sun.
43 tomorrow in Perth. That is hot. Now, what about the rest of the country tomorrow on Christmas Day, Jonathan?
Yeah, so there's plenty going on around the country on Christmas Day. Thankfully, not too not too much going on across the east and the south coast. Across the eastern seaboard, we are going to see further storms develop, and so Brisbane is likely to see a couple of storms and showers, as is Canberra. For Sydney, though, most of the storms in New South Wales will be through inland parts, but for those living in Western Sydney, we could see a rumble of thunder through the afternoon, but generally a dry day there. Across the southeast, it is looking a lot milder and quite a bit calmer as well. So for Brisbane, Hobart, Adelaide, looking like a mostly sunny and dry day with a pretty mild temperatures as well. But I guess there's many people just winding down for the Christmas holidays. The weather is really just winding up. And so we are really urging people to just keep an eye on the warnings over the weekend and beyond into New Year's as well. And follow all of our emergency services if you are in one of those areas affected by severe weather over the next week or so.
And just briefly, I might be putting you on the spot here, but what about the forecast for the Sydney to Hobart?
Yeah, so it isn't looking too bad at this stage. For the actual launch on Boxing Day, it is looking a little bit unstable, so we could see a couple of showers and storms with strong winds as they just start to push off from Sydney. But getting in towards Hobart, we are looking at a high-pressure system, and that'll help to keep it just a little bit calmer. But we are keeping a very close eye on that, particularly that the race wasn't run like, I guess, last year. So this year, a lot of focus on the conditions and, just really hoping for a good outcome for all those involved.
So there you are, up to date on Australian Indian Radio's Christmas Day presentation. Well, right now it's time to go to India and get our daily India report. With that, let's welcome Himanshu.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you glimpses of the changing India and the growing engagement of the Indian diaspora with India. In our first story, as Omicron variant cases of COVID-19 rise in India, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds a review meeting. As Omicron cases rise rapidly in the country, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for a high-level review of the COVID-19 situation in the country on 23rd December 2021. A total of 213 cases infected with Omicron variant of SARS-CoV-2 were detected through genome sequencing of samples till 22nd December morning, according to the Indian Health Ministry. Delhi recorded a maximum 57 cases, followed closely by Maharashtra at 54. Among other states, Telangana, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Kerala and Gujarat also reported large number of samples infected with Omicron. Overall, 15 states have reported Omicron cases. India's Health Ministry has warned states and union territories about the indications of a fresh surge powered by Omicron, which is found to be at least 3 times more transmissible than the Delta variant. In a letter to states and union territories, the centre has asked local authorities to bring back restrictions including night curfews, strict restrictions on large gatherings, curtail numbers in marriages and funerals, restrict numbers in offices and public transport. Districts have been asked to activate COVID war rooms and keep a close watch on numbers and proactively analyze trends and surges. Given high transmissibility of Omicron, the Indian government has also encouraged district level or local authorities to take prompt decisions and action to curtail any possible spread. The overall COVID-19 cases in the country are also increasing. A total of 6,317 new infections were recorded on 21st December. The active caseload stood at 78,190 cases. Cultural events, gatherings for Christmas and New Year are banned in India's national capital of Delhi. With Omicron cases steadily rising in the national capital, Delhi government on 22nd December banned all gatherings to celebrate Christmas and New Year. All cultural events and other gatherings have been prohibited according to an order by the Delhi Disaster Management Authority. District administration officials and the Delhi police have been directed to follow orders, and district officials have been asked to submit daily reports. Market trade associations have also been directed to deny entry to customers without masks. Delhi has recorded 57 Omicron cases so far, highest among all states and union territories in India. Meanwhile, India's coronavirus tally reached 34,758,481 after the country reported 6,370 new infections on 21st December. This is a jump of 18% from 5,326 cases reported on 20th December. The active cases have declined to 78,190, the lowest in 575 days. With 318 deaths during the past 24 hours, the total death count in the pandemic has climbed to 478,000. India continues to offer humanitarian assistance and reaches out to its neighbors as the world grapples with the ongoing pandemic. India has handed over another 1 million India-made COVID vaccine doses to Myanmar. On the first day of an all-important Myanmar visit by Indian Foreign Secretary Harish Shringla, the top diplomat handed over 1 million doses of made-in-India COVID vaccines to the neighbouring nation. The vaccines were handed over to the representatives of Myanmar Red Cross Society. A tweet by the Indian mission in Myanmar said that vaccines were handed to, quote, support the people of Myanmar, including those along the Indian-Myanmar border in their fight against COVID-19, end quote. India is living by its policy of neighbourhood first and humanitarian gestures. It may be noted that Myanmar was among the first country to get India-made vaccines when New Delhi started its vaccine export program on 22nd January 2021. So far, India has sent 4.7 million doses of vaccines to Myanmar. Indian Foreign Secretary visit is the first ever by an Indian official since the coup in 2021 that led to a military junta currently ruling the country. Foreign Secretary Shringla will hold discussion with not just the State Administration Council but also other political parties and members of civil society. The State Administration Council is made up of military junta and is chaired by Min Aung Hlaing, who led the coup on 1st of February this year. He had taken over the role of Myanmar's Prime Minister since August 2021. The ministry pointed that issues relating to humanitarian support to Myanmar, security and India-Myanmar border concerns and the political situation in Myanmar will be discussed. The visit comes even as increased number of insurgent attacks are seen in India's northeast. The visit also gives India a view from the ground when it comes the country and the turmoil it has been facing. Earlier in December 2021, India noted that it is disturbed at the recent verdicts against Aung San Suu Kyi and others in Myanmar and called to uphold of the rule of law and democratic process. India backs the ASEAN process on the situation in the country. India has displaced the UK to become third top nation to host most valued unicorns. India has added 33 unicorns in a single year and displaced the United Kingdom to be third among nations that are home to unicorns that are enterprises valued at over $1 billion each. A report released on 22nd December said India was fourth in terms of the number of unicorns in 2020. The US and China occupy the first two ranks and are way ahead. This data is compiled by Human Research Institute. The US has added 254 unicorns in 2021 and boasts of a total of 487. China added 74 to take its tally to 301 startups having a valuation of over $1 billion. These two top countries host 74% unicorns. It may be noted that the overall list of unicorns worldwide saw 673 new faces and 201 drop-offs. From the drop-offs, 28% of 162 companies were promoted out of the unicorn list after going public or being acquired, while 7% of 39 companies were demoted after their valuation dropped below $1 billion. The institute took into account companies incorporated in this country to determine a unicorn, and the list is updated till November 2021. Former Uttarakhand Chief Minister and top Congress leader Harish Rawat is the latest in a series of top honchos of the party sounding disappointed and spelling dissent. Ahead of Uttarakhand Assembly election, the Indian National Congress Party is grappling with dissent and defections. Congress campaign head and former Chief Minister Harish Rawat posted a cryptic message on Twitter saying that he sometimes feels it's time for him to rest. In a series of tweets on 22nd December, the senior leader expressed strong displeasure and unhappiness over the state of affairs in the party and sought guidance from God. The Twitter remarks by Rawat appear to clearly to be directed against the Congress leadership. Rawat said, quote, "The representatives of the leaders on whose directions I have to swim in the sea of elections are tying my hands and legs," end quote. He went on to add, quote, "Isn't it a strange thing? Have to swim across the sea of electoral battle, but the organizational structure, instead of lending a helping hand, is obstructing and playing a negative role at most places," end quote. The Kashmir Files continues to pique the curiosity of the audience as a new motion poster is released. Bollywood has a major motion picture releasing theatrically on India's Republic Day, 26 January 2022. The Kashmir Files is based on the true story of genocide of the Kashmiri Pandit community. It portrays their pain, suffering, struggle and trauma and presents eye-opening facts about democracy, religion, politics and humanity. The research for the film has been done based on video interviews of the first-generation victims who had to leave their state in a mass exodus. After motion posters of Anupam Kher and Mithun Chakrabarti, producers have released another motion poster starring Pallavi Joshi, who plays Professor Radhika Menon. In the motion poster, the character makes a controversial remark, quote, "Kashmir has never been an integral part of India and this is a historical fact," end quote. This has piqued audience interest. Pallavi's character of Professor Radhika Menon motivates her students to fight for Azad Kashmir and has very deep political connections. Written and directed by Pallavi's husband, Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri, the film stars Mithun Chakrabarti, Anupam Kher, Darshan Kumar, Pallavi Joshi and Chinmay Mandelkar. It is produced by Z Studios and Taj Narayan Agarwal, Abhishek Agarwal, Pallavi Joshi and Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri. Bollywood star jodi of Ranbir Singh and Deepika Padukone looked absolutely stunning at the premiere of 83 in Mumbai. Here's a report. Bollywood super-duper star couple Ranbir Singh and Deepika Padukone looked stunning at the 83 premiere in Mumbai on 22nd December. The couple has been busy promoting their upcoming film for the past few weeks. Deepika looked gorgeous in a blue gown. Ranbir stole the show in white. 83, directed by Kabir Khan, is the story of India's huge and dramatic win of the 1983 World Cup cricket under Kapil Dev's captainship. Ranbir Singh got a tight hug from Kapil Dev at the premiere. Deepika Padukone was spotted posing for the paps with her family. The film's release was delayed due to the coronavirus pandemic and now opens in theatres on December 24th. Ranveer plus the cricket legend Kapil Dev, while Deepika Padukone plays the role of his wife Romi Bhatia. The film also had a grand premiere in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. A video from their Dubai diaries went viral. The couple could be seen watching the 83 trailer on Burj Khalifa. Director Kabir Khan, his wife Mini Mathur and cricket legends Kapil Dev and Mohinder Amarnath also clicked in Dubai. The film is jointly produced by Deepika Padukone, Kabir Khan, Vishnuvardhan Induri, Sajid Nadiawala, Phantom Films and Reliance Entertainment. That's all for this bulletin of Daily India Report. Thank you for watching.
And thank you very much, Himanshu, for that report. Remember, the PIOTB presentation is a special presentation for Australian Indian Radio, produced by Munit Gupta, Kayan Gupta, and the team from New Delhi. Thank you very much, and wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas in whichever way you celebrate. Whatever your views may be, that is quite personal, and that is yours, and we respect everyone's views. Well, right now, it's time to say goodbye from this segment, but don't forget that later on we have two other segments coming, one at 10, one at 11, and then at 12. Of course, we have all the special reviews that are coming on today, and of course we are going to be taking live calls during that event, so that will be up at 12. Dial 0484279150 to join into the studio and air your views as they reckon. Well, right now, wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas from Chentex Proprietary Limited, trading as GlobeNet Realty, Brisbane Indian Times, and Australian Indian Radio. And don't forget that this month's Music Junction is coming on the 31st as well, featuring Neha. And as we mentioned before, that the special Christmas programs by Pastor Joseph Das and Savita Singh will be coming up respectively at 10 and 11 and 12. We go with that live show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you in this segment. Excellent for your company joining in. Hope you have a very Merry Christmas, a safe one, and spend some time with your loved ones and enjoy the break in whichever manner that you choose to, because we are all individuals. We have our own individuals choices, beliefs, thoughts, ways, manners, etc. So until next time, it's goodbye.